Tonight, exhibit room pickings, landsman and court. Floods render roads inaccessible. And could the apprenticeship scheme solve our unemployment issues? Very good evening. A 53-year-old man appeared in the magistrate's court this afternoon, facing charges related to the robbery at the Suva High Court exhibit room. Firoz Khan of Amy Street in Turek was charged with one count of being in possession of illicit drugs. Khan sought bail, telling Magistrate Makerete Moore that he has a wife and children to look after and that he also operates a canteen for his family. However, Magistrate Moore refused this application, saying the offence was serious and warrants a life sentence or a fine of $1 million. Khan will appear again in court on the 12th of next month. Meanwhile, a 37-year-old man who was involved in an early morning robbery in Suva on Monday has also been remanded in custody. Iso Vula was charged with one count of aggravated robbery and theft. Meanwhile, a second suspect was questioned but later released. Police continue to search for the remaining suspects whose identities are known to them. The Weather Office has reinforced the heavy rain warning issued earlier today. Strong winds and more rain are expected to sweep through the Fiji group over the next 24 hours. Bulletin reports.
It is the low depression generated from the north of Australia and Vanuatu that is causing the shallow low depression hovering Fiji. Fiji Weather Office Director Alipate Wangaidelua says flash flooding, strong winds and squalls along with heavy downpour will be the order of the next 24 hours all over the country.
Now, in the next 24, we expect this to pick up as we anticipate the shallow depression to develop. So it'll enhance this current activity, and so the strong winds as well as the heavy rains. At this stage, we are sending out a warning for certain parts of Fiji, but we expect the whole of Fiji to be affected in the next 24.
The weatherman says while the shallow low depression will not develop into a tropical cyclone, the heavy downpour tomorrow will develop mostly to the western regions of Fiji and will gradually move east.
To develop just to the west of Fiji and then move across Fiji from later tomorrow through the afternoon and evening and into the night. And as it moves through Fiji, it's going to cause strong winds and heavy rain. And there is always a possibility of flooding as the depression moves towards the east.
And a timely warning to the public at large to take the necessary precautions as we brace for more rain in the coming days.
We encourage the public to liaise directly with the authorities on the ground, DISMEC officers, the commissioners, the district officers, as well as the police. It's prudent that we listen to authority now to avoid any casualties on the road. The roads are wet, there's a lot of rain falling, and we expect lots more to happen in the next 24. So it's got to be treacherous on the roads. We also, with the strong winds over the seas and very rough seas, we expect the conditions to be very treacherous as well for mariners.
Fiji One News.
Meanwhile, heavy rain inundated certain parts of Rakiraki. This is Galau Road. It was closed to light vehicles today as it was under 3 feet of water. And over at the FSC Road, the road was inaccessible to vehicles and pedestrians due to flooding. Some schools were also closed early to allow students to head home. A heavy rain warning is currently in place for Vitilevu, Kandavu, Yasawa and the Mamanutha group. The heavy rainfall experienced in the west has led to the closure of several roads and bridges. A statement from the Ministry of Information says road accessibility is limited due to current weather conditions. In Nadi, the following bridges are underwater and closed to traffic. These will be monitored closely by authorities. In Singatoka, road washout and slippery and muddy surfaces have led to the closure of the following roads. Works on these roads will be completed on Friday and Monday respectively. In Lautoka, several Irish crossings have been closed off. Authorities are working on blockages at these links. And in Bai, an Irish crossing at Marini Tower Road is closed. Members of the public have been advised to take the necessary precautionary measures. The first of the 2 new government ships will arrive next month. Permanent Secretary for Works and Transport, Commander Francis Keane, has confirmed that the 3rd ship will arrive in April. Joe Bukelangi has the details.
The new ships to boost government shipping services is expected to arrive by the 2nd week of February. The Ministry of Works and Transport is anticipating its arrival, which should boost its monthly trips to the maritime zone.
We look forward to receiving the new ship. Hopefully it will arrive in Fiji on the 2nd week of February, and hopefully we look forward to welcoming the crew and this new addition to the government shipping services fleet come early February.
Government officials are expected to be back in Malaysia in March to finalize the details of the 2nd ship, which should be in the country by the 1st quarter of this year.
As for the 2nd ship, we've also done our initial surveys and we revisited it also during our last trip for the final test and trials of the 1st ship. We hope to return to Malaysia in the middle of the latter part of March, after the shipbuilder and owner has finally conducted a test with the relevant classification societies. Once we do that, then the normal process of delivering the 2nd ship to Fiji will actually take place. We look forward to delivering the ship in the early part of April 2014 if all goes well.
As for the shipping franchise, government vessel will continue to service the route despite facing problems.
This is one of the roles that government shipping services plays, to support whenever there's a need from government. As you know, the Fiji Shipping franchise scheme is also under the ministry, and we've had some recent mechanical failures with some of the ships that have been awarded contracts to service these franchise routes. Hence the need for us to call upon the services of government shipping for them to service this route. And I'm very thankful to the support down at government shipping services, their prompt and professional reaction to this need out in the maritime islands.
Drew Bukelangi, Fiji One News.
The National Apprentice Scheme could just be the answer to our unemployment problems. Reintroduced by government, the scheme is expected to boost the labour market. Ravai Vafa'o explains.
Lifeline many unemployed youths have been waiting for. The scheme has been revived again after not getting the desired response the first time around.
The program will only go for 3 to 4 years, depending on the trade that you're taking. And this is good. Companies can now take on students and train them and absorb them into their own organizations.
Among the challenges it faced with lengthy apprenticeship duration, which was 5 years, add to the fact that businesses preferred hiring tertiary graduates. However, Hazelman has encouraged businesses to step up and take on this initiative to contribute to the overall development of the country.
Organizations have a role to play in ensuring that our young school leavers who choose to go into the trades areas are given an opportunity through the apprenticeship scheme, and the fact that government is allocated quite a sizable sum to assist in the scheme will only go well for organizations who choose to go down this path.
The FCEF also commented the 400,000 allocated for the reintroduction of the scheme.
Government cannot be called upon all the time to fund these sort of things. It's an incentive for organizations to also put in money, and most organizations actually set aside a percentage and that's directed towards training.
Hazelman also adds that the FCEF will also play its part and will encourage its members to get involved in the program.
Driving it from the strategic level to ensure that the operations and the training is done according to the plan. We'll be discussing issues with the industry to ensure that the people that we train are aligned to the industry needs.
The initiative is already receiving positive responses. Reviver for all, Fiji One News.
Meanwhile, the Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation says that, like everyone else, it too is waiting for government's feedback on the proposed minimum wage. This comes as the Federation plans a forum next month to discuss the issue. However, it's hoping that by then the minimum wage will be known.
From our perspective, whilst some industries are quite happy with the minimum wage that was set, the national minimum wage, some industries have issues with regard to it, and we are speaking with the ministry on those issues.
With controversy surrounding the proposed $2.32 per hour minimum wage rate, Hazelman says there are justifications given to warrant this figure. However, he adds a lot of factors need to be considered first.
It's to find a balance. We want to keep everybody in a job. We want to ensure that industries continue to grow. We want to ensure that industries remain profitable. We want to ensure that industries continue to hire new people.
Ahead in the news, EEE hits the streets. And sugar development programs roll out soon. Hello again. Police have arrested the 34-year-old suspect in relation to the alleged murder of a woman at Nakabu settlement in Nandi on Monday night. Police spokesperson Anane Soro said the suspect was arrested this morning at Wailoloa. 55-year-old Hamidan Bano was found dead in her home. Investigations are continuing. The Land Transport Authority today embarked on a new campaign to enlighten road users about the importance of road safety. Simply called EEE, the campaign aims to educate, encourage and enforce road safety regulations. Let's start with the details.
No, it's not a protest, but is an attempt by the Land Transport Authority to dish out their road safety messages in a unique way. The officials will now literally be on the roads with placards. It's an in-your-face approach to disseminate advisories which have been ignored in the past, especially the use of cell phones while driving.
It's not so much at this stage on enforcement. What we basically need to do now is to try and educate people, encourage people on the issue of road safety.
LT hopes the message will hit home this time around. With this being the decade of action for road safety, Sokia says this is just one of many strategies used to advocate for road safety.
We feel that people are not very receptive to the advice and the warning that we've been issuing. I believe that to educate and people to be aware, more public awareness, more outreach to be done on aspects of road safety, people would know, the risk that involves if they continue to breach some of those road regulations.
With 2012 and 2013 recording the lowest fatality over the last 25 years, the challenge now is to maintain or even reduce this number further.
The challenge is for us to reduce, and we need everybody's support. Members of the public, motorists, drivers, pedestrians, everybody. If we are able to pull resources together, help each other, we can reduce it. Our figure and our target this year is to reduce it to 30.
This pilot project is expected to be replicated in other parts of the country within 2 weeks. Haliteshtat, Fiji One News.
The $8.4 million funding for cane development programs in the western and northern cane belts are expected to roll out in the coming weeks. This comes as a committee made up of sugar industry stakeholders met to discuss ways of streamlining the disbursement of funds to weed out bad practices.
Ridding the ills of the past and ensuring that farmers receive a fair share of their money to cultivate and extend their farms in a bid to increase production in the coming year. This is the aim of the sugar industry as it prepares to roll out the allocated $8.4 million to farmers in the coming weeks.
This is also to encourage farmers to plow new areas and improve the acreage of production. The funds will be, there will be no refunds repayment from the farmers. It's a totally and wholly government grant.
Over 4,000 registered cane farmers will be disbursed funds and will be closely monitored in the cane development program, unlike practices of the past where growers would receive their lot and did not carry out the required tasks expected of them.
To ensure that the funds is not like as it were previously being abused, and some people who took the funds didn't do well or actually did not plant any cane. So the intention here, we have got to be transparent, and there has to be an element of control and transparency amongst the users of the fund.
Ultimately, the aim of the industry is to build on the current yields for next year and increase tonnage brought to the mills for the crush.
We are glad that this has come about, and we are closely liaising with the industry people, particularly the farmers, representatives. I am sure that if there is no disaster this year, there is already a strong indication that there will be a bumper crop in the 2014 cane crushing season.
Bulletin, Fiji One News.
The Minister for Education, Philip Mbole, continued his tour of the Western Division today, meeting school managements, teachers and students as the new school year rolls out. Mbole says while he has been satisfied so far with what he has seen, there are concerns brought to the fore which he will need to address.
Braving the rain and taking to the classrooms, meeting those that matter most to his ministry and government. This is what the Minister for Education is doing whilst on tour in the Western Division in the past week.
Our job, is to visit schools, know what is there, so that we are not out of date and out of touch with, with our clients and with the schools, which we're supposed to develop. And we will continue this way, to inspect the schools, some of the schools which have already.
Mbole was at Gandhi Bhawan Memorial School in Tabakumbu this morning and also crossed to the Sunshine Special School, where he met with teachers and students and affirmed them on their roles as teachers and educators for the young.
If people hadn't, by the second week hadn't seen the necessity to send their children to school, then they would have to be very dull. Because it is now free, they don't have to pay anything. All they have to do is to feed their children properly, clothe them properly, and equip them properly for schooling and send them off to school.
On cases brought to the fore where parents were not sending their children to school, Mbole had this to say.
I imagine that some parents, who don't keep education as a top priority, will soon find out that their children, if they're not going to school, they would be the only children in the settlement that are not going to school. And hopefully, because of that, they will find out.
Bulletin, Fiji One News.
Consumers should think twice before shopping online. The warning again comes from the Consumer Council in the wake of complaints against several companies who haven't exactly delivered what they promised.
The Consumer Council last year received close to 250 complaints against 3 companies that were selling products online through social media networks. Chief Executive Pramila Kumar issued a stern reminder to consumers when engaged in such dealings.
A lot also depends on consumers, how responsible they are. And often they part with their money, they get into problem, then they come to the council to lodge a complaint. And now without a consumer tribunal, it will be hard to get the refunds.
2 out of the 3 companies have already refunded money to the buyers. Customers who have yet to be refunded from the third company are up in arms over the delays in getting their money back.
They owed thousands of dollars to consumers. They had put out a paid advertisement in the paper promising consumers that by 31st December 2013, they will either give them the goods they ordered or they will refund the money.
Kumar says a few other companies are also selling products on social media, and it's all down to the consumers to carry out a thorough background check before dealing with them.
In some cases, we have gone to the company's office just to find out whether that company is really established It's a properly established company. And in some cases we have found that they're not. They're just advertising through Facebook and doing business.
Court proceedings have been brought against the company that hasn't refunded its customers. Halitesh Dutt, Fiji One News.
The Rural Women's Designers Award was held last night. This was organized in partnership between the Ministry of Social Welfare, Women and Poverty Alleviation and the Federation of Rural Women and supported by Quartz Fiji Limited. Last night saw the official launch of the event and the presence of last year's 7 Rural Designer winners and guests. Women's Minister Dr. Chico Lubeni said this expo provides a platform to enhance the recognition of rural women and their efforts to raise their own standard of living. Also present was American Ambassador to Fiji, Frankie Reed. The ministry supported the Rural Women's Designers and Fashion event last year by providing sewing machines. Dr. Lubeni says the ministry's aim is to bring over 3,000 women together during the National Women's Exposition. We have the latest from around the region up next. Stay with us. The Pacific has been rated very highly amongst the world's 10 best when it comes to places to cruise, according to a global contest by USA Today. Dubbed as the land of honeymooners, USA Today has classified the South Pacific as the 7th best place to cruise through the clear aquamarine waters, with special mention to the gorgeous islands of French Polynesia, Fiji, Samoa and the Cook Islands. The scenery in the South Pacific is dreamlike, according to the ratings. South Pacific Tourism Organization Chief Executive Elisoni Buenriketi was happy with the ratings and commended the initiatives taken at the national levels by Pacific Island governments towards cruise tourism development. He says the region can now confidently say that cruise shipping is a promising segment for tourism. The Pacific ranked ahead of the Baltic region, even the Bahamas and the Mexican Riviera. The Royal Commission into Child Sexual Abuse has heard young boys were raped, beaten and locked in a cage for days. This was part of a brutal regime at the Salvation Army boys' homes. The Salvation Army admits it did happen. They say they are deeply sorry and determined to make amends.
For one of our favourite charities, this was its blackest day. The Salvos came to the Royal Commission to atone for the sins of the past.
This hearing will bring to light the greatest failure in the history of the Salvation Army in Australia.
Admitting under its care, hundreds of boys were abused physically, emotionally and sexually in 4 boys' homes in New South Wales and Queensland during the 1960s and 70s. Punishments were brutal and humiliating, including locking boys in cages.
Other forms of punishment included sweeping the playground with a toothbrush, cleaning 50 pairs of shoes, cleaning the pigeon cage and on one occasion forcing a boy to eat his own vomit.
The inquiry heard a string of sexual abuse allegations against Salvation Army officers over several years, including at the former boys' home at Bexley North, where it's alleged officers knew members of the public were involved.
These persons had access to the boys' dormitories at night and would access the dormitories and sexually assault the boys.
The Royal Commission is focusing on 5 Salvation Army officers in this inquiry, but says it's likely the evidence will point to others allegedly involved in abuse. The Salvos today apologised to victims and vowed there'd be no cover-up.
Now remember, you can view tonight's Fiji One News Bulletin on our website. That's at www.fijione.tv. You can also watch previous news bulletins as well as our current affairs, business and sports shows. You can now also get news headlines directly to your mobile phones. To subscribe, just text SUB space FTV News to 777 and you can get your news and sports headlines via SMS. You have until the end of this month to sign up for free and enjoy free subscriptions. From next month, charges will apply. You can view our terms and conditions on our website. And Kurt joins me for sports. Fiji Sevens to transit here on the way to Wellington.
That's right, Vili. It may just be the breather they need, but they won't be here for long. That's coming up. Also in sport, Fijiana gets ready for another round of IRB series. And amateur boxing to get coach from Cuba.